One late afternoon, in a large, quiet house, Anna, a woman in her 50s, sat alone by the window. The room was neat and tidy, but her eyes were lost. The narrator, Anna has lived more than half her life, has a successful husband, a full home. But perhaps the only thing she lacks is the warmth in her heart. Her husband, Richard, is busy with work parties and contracts. Family meals are often filled with silence and the sound of spoons hitting plates. One afternoon it was pouring rain. Anna quickly took shelter in a small cafe on the corner of the street. There she happened to meet a young man, David. He sat alone with a sketchbook, his eyes staring at each falling raindrop. They looked at each other for a moment, a seemingly normal moment, but it left a strange echo. David smiled softly. "The rain is so beautiful today. The rain seems to be telling a story." Anna was a little surprised. It had been a long time since anyone had talked to her with such gentle words. Anna replied softly, "I just find the rain sad." David tilted his head, his eyes deep. Sometimes the rain is sad, but it is in that sadness that we feel truly alive. Anna was silent, looking out at the rain. She did not expect a strange young man to touch the things she had always kept hidden. That day they did not talk much. But when Anna left the cafe, something strange suddenly arose in her heart, like a small crack in the solid wall of married life that had been closed for too long. Sometimes seemingly coincidental encounters are the beginning of a storm. And Anna in that moment had no idea that she was about to embark on a journey that would change her whole life. Dear friends, if it were you on a rainy afternoon, accidentally meeting a gaze that made your heart flutter, would you dare to keep it in your heart? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget, the Love and Tears channel is on its journey to reach the first 100 subscribers. I really hope to receive your support. Please click subscribe so that each story has a companion with us. In the following days, Anna continued her daily life, cleaning the house, waiting for her husband to come home in silence, and cooking meals for her to eat alone. But in her heart, something was different. Late at night, when Richard returned, the smell of alcohol and the sound of his work phone followed him into the room. Anna looked at him, wanting to ask, wanting to share, but then stopped. In her heart, the image of the young man in the cafe that rainy day quietly returned. A week later, when the sky was still gloomy, Anna accidentally returned to the old cafe. And as if by invisible arrangement, David was also there. He sat at the familiar corner of the table with a sketchbook. Seeing Anna, his eyes lit up as if he was waiting. David smiled. "I thought I would never see you again." Anna was a little confused. "I didn't expect." David pulled out a chair, gently inviting. "If you don't mind, sit with me." Anna hesitated, then sat down. They began to talk more. David told about his life. A young artist struggling to make a living with unknown paintings. He lived simply without competition, but his eyes shone with faith in art and freedom. Anna listened, feeling as if she was opening a new door. She suddenly felt her heart warm again, as if she was reliving the days of her lost youth. Anna said softly, "You are young. How lucky. I have missed so much." David looked deeply into her eyes. age doesn't mean anything. And what matters is the heart, whether it still knows how to beat or not. That sentence confused Anna. She quickly looked out the window, hiding her trembling eyes. From that day on, the chance meetings became more frequent. Anna began to find excuses to go out sometimes, just to drink coffee and chat with David. During those conversations, Anna realized the silence in her marriage. Richard could give her stability, but David made her feel heard, seen as a real woman. One afternoon, David showed Anna an unfinished painting. It was the image of a woman sitting by the window, her eyes distant, as if waiting for something that never came. Anna was stunned. Why is it so similar to me? David chuckled. Because when I first saw you, I saw those eyes. Sad eyes, but still hiding a fire. Anna was shaken. Those words seemed to pierce straight into the crack she had tried to hide for so long. A woman who had lived more than half her life with constraints, and a young man who dared to see through her heart. Those meetings that were originally accidental now turned into a string that tightly bound two souls. And when they touched each other, no one could turn back easily. Dear friends, if you were in Anna's situation, would you dare to keep a safe distance? Or would you let your heart lead the way? Please share your feelings in the comments section below. And don't forget, click subscribe so that the Love and Tears channel can soon reach the first 100 subscribers. The following days, Anna found herself changing. She often chose a lighter dress, put on some lipstick before going out, even if it was just to accidentally stop by a familiar coffee shop. In Anna's heart, a secret blossomed that even she was afraid to name. One afternoon, it was drizzling. David took Anna to his small studio. The space was filled with the smell of oil paint. The light from the window frame shone on the unfinished paintings. David pulled the cover away. Behind was a completed painting, an image of a woman standing in the rain, wet hair sad, but bright eyes. Anna was stunned. Is this me? David looked at her, his eyes determined. It was inspired by you. I have never painted anyone like this. Anna trembled, her heart pounding. She wanted to turn away, but that gaze seemed to hold her. A long moment of silence. Then David approached. His hand gently touched Anna's hands, cold from the rain. Anna, do you know from the first time we met, I saw that you were different? Anna whispered softly as if confessing. Don't, I have a family. David bowed his head, but his eyes did not leave her. I don't want to ruin your life, but my heart can't stop reaching out to you. Tears rolled down Anna's cheeks. For the first time in many years, she felt wanted, loved. That evening, Anna returned home. Richard was still sitting in front of the computer screen, not noticing his wife's absence. The cold meal on the table was untouched. Anna looked at him, her heart heavy. There was an unnameable distance between them, and she realized this marriage had died a long time ago, existing only on paper and as obligations. Her meetings with David became more and more frequent. At the cafe, in the studio, or simply walking down the small streets, Anna began to smile more, her eyes brighter, like someone whose extinguished flame had just been rekindled. One day, as the sun was setting, David gently held her hand. Anna wanted to pull back, but then that hand held tighter. David whispered, Please don't be afraid. Just once, let yourself live true to your heart." Anna nodded slightly. And in the twilight, they shared their first kiss. Trembling, clumsy, but full of desire. A woman who once thought her life was settled now trembles like a girl in her 20s. A young man dares to burn the age gap with sincerity. When the fire is lit, nothing can extinguish it, unless they choose to let go. Dear friends, if you were Anna, would you dare to live true to your heart, even though you know that there is a storm ahead? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And please support the Love and Tears channel by clicking subscribe, so we can soon reach the milestone of the first 100 subscribers. In the days after that kiss, Anna lived in two worlds. On one side was the silent house where Richard only cared about work and numbers. On the other side were the afternoons with David, where she laughed, cried, and breathed like a real person. But the more she was drunk on love, the more afraid Anna felt. Every time she looked in the mirror, she saw her eyes shining strangely. And she knew that Richard would notice. One evening, Richard unexpectedly returned home early. He saw Anna sitting in front of the mirror, her hand still stained with lipstick that she had not yet wiped off. His eyes were full of doubt. "Anna, where have you been lately?" Anna was startled. She was confused and softly replied, "I just went out for a walk." Richard was silent, but his eyes were like a knife. He knew his wife was changing, but he could not name what it was. At the same time, David was also torn. He wanted to be with Anna, but he was also afraid of hurting her. One afternoon, he said in a choked voice, "If you feel tired, I will leave. I don't want you to lose everything because of me." Anna squeezed his hand, trembling. "David, I'm not afraid of losing. The only thing I'm afraid of is losing you." Those words seemed to be engraved in both of their hearts, but darkness had begun to come. Richard hired someone to follow him. One rainy afternoon, he saw Anna walking out of the studio with his own eyes next to David. The handshake, the look, everything was enough to burn the anger in his heart. That night, Richard sat across from Anna. His voice was as cold as steel. "I know everything, Anna. You betrayed me." Anna was stunned, her whole body turned to stone. The years of attachment, the promises on the wedding day. Everything came rushing back, but could not erase the truth. She burst into tears and whispered, "I'm sorry, but Richard, do you remember? When was the last time we really talked to each other? Do you remember? When was the last time you touched my hand, hugged me?" Richard was silent. For the first time in many years, he had no words to respond. When love leaves a marriage, all that remains is the shell. Anna lived in that shell for so long, until her heart could no longer bear it. But the price of being true to yourself could be everything. Dear friends, if you were in Anna's position, what would you choose? Live fully with love once, or bury it to keep the peace on the surface? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. And please support the Love and Tears channel by clicking subscribe, so we can soon reach the milestone of the first 100 subscribers. After the night of conversation with Richard, the house became heavier than ever. Anna walked in the hallway, clearly hearing each beat of her heart, as if counting down to the inevitable. Richard no longer shouted, no longer questioned. He just kept silent. But that silence was colder than any accusation. Anna knew he was waiting to see which path she would choose. One morning, sitting in David's studio, Anna said in a trembling voice, "Richard knows. He doesn't trust me anymore. Maybe I should leave." David was silent. He held her hand tightly, his eyes shining with determination. "If you leave, I will be there. I won't leave you alone." Anna smiled slightly, but that smile was wet with tears. "David, you know I have dreamed of another life for a long time. But now, when it is right in front of me, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that my son will hate me. I was afraid that people would curse me. And most of all, I was afraid of losing myself." David hugged her and whispered, "You are not lost, Anna. You are just finding yourself after so many years of being buried." At the same time, Richard came to Daniel, their son. He spoke briefly, as if throwing a knife. "Your mother is betraying this family." Daniel was stunned. The whole world collapsed in an instant. He looked into his father's eyes, trying to find a lie, but those eyes were too cold and real. That night, Daniel came to Anna. He trembled, almost screaming. "Mom, is it you and him?" "Real." Anna stood there, her eyes filled with tears. She could no longer lie to her son. "That's right, Daniel. Mom, you loved someone else." Daniel burst into tears. His pain was like a knife piercing straight into Anna's heart. She hugged her son, but he pushed her away, choking. "Mom ruined everything. There are choices that not only destroy a marriage, but also tear a family apart. Anna loves David, but that love is pushing her to the brink of the abyss. On one side is the truth, on the other side is forgiveness that will never come. No matter what she chooses, someone will be hurt." That night, Anna sat alone in front of the mirror. In the mirror was an old, tired face, but her eyes sparkled with the light of someone who had experienced true love. She whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I will choose." Dear friends, if you were Anna, what would you choose? Stay to keep your family or leave to find your own heart? Leave your opinion in the comments section. And don't forget, click subscribe to the Love and Tears channel to join us and help the channel reach the milestone of the first 100 subscribers soon. After the night of conversation with Richard, the house became heavier than ever. Anna walked in the hallway, clearly hearing each beat of her heart, as if counting down to the inevitable. Richard no longer shouted, no longer questioned. He just kept silent, but that silence was colder than any accusation. Anna knew he was waiting to see which path she would choose. One morning, sitting in David's studio, Anna said in a trembling voice, "Richard knows. He doesn't trust me anymore. Maybe I should leave." David was silent. He held her hand tightly, his eyes shining with determination. "If you leave, I will be there. I won't leave you alone." Anna smiled slightly, but that smile was wet with tears. "David, you know I have dreamed of another life for a long time. But now, when it is right in front of me, I am afraid. I'm afraid that my son will hate me. I was afraid that people would curse me. And most of all, I was afraid of losing myself." David hugged her and whispered, "You are not lost, Anna. You are just finding yourself after so many years of being buried. At the same time, Richard came to Daniel, their son. He spoke briefly, as if throwing a knife. "Your mother is betraying this family." Daniel was stunned. The whole world collapsed in an instant. He looked into his father's eyes, trying to find a lie. But those eyes were too cold and real. That night, Daniel came to Anna. He trembled, almost screaming. "Mom, is it you and him real?" Anna stood there, her eyes filled with tears. She could no longer lie to her son. "That's right, Daniel. Mom, you loved someone else." Daniel burst into tears. His pain was like a knife piercing straight into Anna's heart. She hugged her son, but he pushed her away, choking. "Mom ruined everything. There are choices that not only destroy a marriage, but also tear a family apart. Anna loves David, but that love is pushing her to the brink of the abyss. On one side is the truth, on the other side is forgiveness that will never come. No matter what she chooses, someone will be hurt." That night, Anna sat alone in front of the mirror. In the mirror was an old, tired face, but her eyes sparkled with the light of someone who had experienced true love. She whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I will choose." Dear friends, if you were Anna, what would you choose? Stay to keep your family, or leave to find your own heart? Leave your opinion in the comment section. And don't forget, click subscribe to the Love and Tears channel to join us and help the channel reach the milestone of the first 100 subscribers soon. Time passed. The Walker family home was now quiet. Richard lived alone in the large house, as quiet as a shadow. He still went to work, still greeted everyone, but when he returned, the house was no longer filled with laughter. Every evening he sat in front of the window, silently looking at the yard, where Anna used to smile brightly. While planting flowers, Richard whispered, as if talking to himself. It turns out, happiness can be broken in just one day. Daniel was different. He chose to leave. He enrolled in a university hundreds of miles away from home so that he would no longer see the images of his mother and David. But every night, Daniel still lay awake, remembering his peaceful childhood, when his parents still held hands, and the family was a perfect picture. A friend asked, "Daniel, do you hate your mother?" Daniel was silent for a long time and then replied, "I don't hate, but I can't forgive. Not now. Maybe. It will take a lifetime." As for Anna, she lives with David. They have each other, but this love is not as sweet as she dreamed. Every time she smiles, there is a drop of sadness in the corner of her eyes. There are nights when she lies next to David, but in her heart, she still hears Daniel's call, remembers Richard's painful eyes. David hugs her, whispering, "Anna, I'm here, don't think anymore." But Anna knows there are wounds that love cannot heal. In the end, after the storm, no one really wins. Richard lost his wife, Daniel lost his mother, and Anna lost her sacred home. Love brought her the truth, but also brought with it a pain that never goes away. Life is like that. There are choices that cost us our whole hearts. One autumn afternoon, Anna accidentally met Daniel again at the train station. He looked at her, his eyes no longer angry, but also no longer warm as before. Daniel only said one sentence. "Mom, I hope you're happy, But I'm not sure I can call you hero in my heart anymore. Anna burst into tears, wanting to hug her son. But Daniel had already turned away, getting on his train. She stood still, tears falling like rain. She knew there were cracks that would never be mended. And so the story ended. A story without a happy ending, only lessons engraved in everyone's heart. That love is sometimes a fire warming us, but can also burn down a whole home. And after all, the most difficult thing is not saying I love you, but keeping the happiness that you have in your hands. Dear friends, what do you think about Anna's choice? Is love worth trading the whole family? Or does true happiness only come when we know how to hold on to the simplest things? Please share your feelings in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe to the Love and Tears channel to reach the milestone of the first 100 subscribers together.